Are we live? I think we're good, right? Hey, are we good? It says live. There's a counter, right? There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. Nick Byer, GX3 Media. Welcome back to another late night photo flip. That means that we're going to go through our photos from today. We have five events to go through. How can we do these numbers? Well, five events, two different sports, two different states. So maybe it should be two sports, two states, five events on a Tuesday. Anyways, let's get through these. It's after 1 in the morning, and I'm still on my way home. I'll walk you through what I did today. The plan was don't do anything around home, go further away. So the first place I checked, Iowa. And actually, both of the Iowa schools I cover were at home. I had to choose one or the other. One has a bridge to get there, and the other doesn't have a bridge to get there. So the choice is pretty simple. I'll do my best to get to my bridgeless school. Trust me, trust me. But it made sense. And then I looked on the Wisconsin side, and hey, Prairie du Chien had boys and girls basketball, so it was an easy run in my head. An easy run. Let's go Prairie du Chien. Let's go MFL Marmac. Let's go make that work. And then I showed up at Prairie du Chien, and what did you know? There's also a wrestling meal. There's also wrestling. Anyways, let's get through some photos. Oh, before I forget, before we go into the photo flip, again, the wrestling is an important part. I didn't think it was going to work out. Everything seemed to work out pretty well for me tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Big thing for me. As I was driving into Prairie, I said, oh, well, they've probably already had their wrestling poster night. And I've been doing the wrestling posters for the Prairie Wrestling Group for 7 or 8 years at this point, and I always like to get myself a copy. I think I have at least one example of all of them, except for the one that creatively I think pushed me maybe the most. So that's kind of a sore spot. I need to find a version of that. Anyways, but because it was a wrestling duel night, it actually was their poster night. So we ended up with wrestling poster. Yep. And there's nothing better than actual tangible stuff. So that was cool to get. Let's screen share because then I can show you actually the whole thing. Let's go entire screen. That one, share. Okay. So I can show you the whole thing. The whole thing looks like this. All right. Real quick before again, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but I'm going to walk us through this process. The build started here at one point in time, and I thought it was pretty blah and boring. So I ran some actions, did some other work on it, and it went to this extra space in the right and in the bottom was left. So that way I had room for schedules and sponsors. And as we kept pushing it, I needed some more space. And then we added the other bits and bobs. I will give them credit. They were okay with this pink, blue, purple, black ensemble. It's a very strange color combination for a school that is a maroon and white. Again, that first example, remember where we started here. There is, our colors don't align. We've got some pink, we've got some black, we've got some maroon. Again, we're kind of all over the place. But then as we finish, we tie it all together. The skin tones turn into some oranges. Anyways, I really liked what we did here. This is our final product, right? Yes, this is our final product. Anyways, like I said, real, you can hear that. Real, tangible, physical paper is better this way. So for all of you out there who love digital stuff, that's fine. Go look at your digital stuff. Try to enjoy it, but there will never be anything like actual, real, tangible stuff. Stuff that'll give you paper cuts and make you say words you shouldn't say. Anyways, let's go through some of these. Again, I might try to keep this a little short, little brief. I've got other things to get to tonight. So I'm actually not going to go through entire galleries, but we're just going to try to see what we can get through. I got a chance to see Prairie du Chien girls tonight. They got to play in the old gym. You know how much fun it was to be back in that gym? I had some nostalgic feelings. I remember when the girls, I don't know, 8 years ago, um, the girls, I think maybe had a couple down years, and then all of a sudden they started to kind of explode. They had some pretty quality seasons, and I do remember rushing to games, doubling up a run with either like a Wazeeka Steuben stop or a River Ridge stop, and then rushing into Prairie. And there was just something about going into that very, very tight, warm gym. Warm because look at those bleachers in our background. There's something very comforting, I think, with that warm wood color, so in a way that you just will not get with plastic bleachers. Oh, yeah, students. Yeah, there are a few students. Again, this was a weird, like, doubleheader. So they started at 6, the girls started at 6, and the boys followed. And wrestling was at 7 because wrestling was the actual scheduled event for the night. Again, I love the fact that they were able to use their old gym. It was a great trip, kind of down memory lane to get to use that gym again. It's a tight space, but the lighting's pretty decent. Okay, so my computer's gonna this new computer, I'll be honest with you, it does a lot of nice things, but one thing it doesn't do well is process photos quickly. Again, I'm just using stupid Windows photo viewer. It does not recognize every photo like my other laptops have. I do not know what that is. If I let this go, it'll be fine in the morning and I'll be able to scrub through everything. I just would like it to work now. So that being said, we aren't going to be able to get through everything. All right, this is the boys' game. So here's how my night worked out. Started in Prairie, shot that girls' game like I showed you. And then I said, we have to leave. So I jumped across the river, went to MFL Marmac in Monona, Iowa. That is about 105 miles, 95 miles, 100 miles. It's about 100 miles from home for me. I've been covering MFL stuff for over 10 years, 12 years at this point. Started with softball and it has kind of evolved past that throughout the years. I've seen a couple football games, which have been fun, a lot of baseball, a lot of softball, and I try to make it to at least one basketball doubleheader every year. Usually it ends up being the night that they end up playing Key because Key Lansing is the other, Iowa school that I tend to focus on a lot. But that wasn't the case tonight. I got a Southwind game. Hey, let's go look at that folder. Let's go see what we had there with our girls games. Okay, cool. Stuff. I shot some wide because I thought that gym looked pretty full, and it did. I mean, in Iowa, everything is a boy-girl doubleheader in the right order. Girls first, then boys. People show up. They had parents' night. They had like cheerleading night or youth cheerleading night. I mean, this place is, I mean, you can't see the bleacher on the opposite side of the gym, but that too was pretty full. It was a good atmosphere, I thought. And I think both the girls and boys games were relatively meaningful. So that was good to see. Again, I haven't been in this gym since they renovated it, so it was kind of cool to get a chance to work in there. It used to have a big stage, and now it doesn't. I've actually never seen a gym or a school take a stage out, but they did. Anyways, it opens up the whole space. Um, yeah, they played Southwind, so that's school Kalmar over by Decorah, or a little south and west of Decorah. Anyways, I've been in town a couple times. Wow, I'm really struggling here to start with. Um, I do remember this sequence, and I missed the best shots. Again, it took me a little while to get dialed in, settled in, and that sometimes happens. I know there's good stuff in here. It's just probably buried, and that's okay. Yeah. So again, I like running over to Iowa for games when I can. It does kind of suck. It makes it tough, or it's tough right now to get to Lansing. So going to Key, which I've kind of been accustomed to. Usually there's a DeSoto doubleheader night that I would go DeSoto for a game, head across the river, watch a game, go back to DeSoto, go back to Key. That didn't happen. That can't happen for a year or two. That's okay. We'll get through it. I'll find a way to get up there yet and see them play. But again, MFL Marmac was the school I started with in Iowa. I believe it was 2013 with their softball team. I knew nothing. I was terrified. I had a friend from college take over their softball program at that time, and she said, "Hey, you want to come do all the team stuff with us?" And I said, "Absolutely." It's in Iowa, and I said, "Oh boy, Iowa seemed like a far, far place." Now it's still a far, far place for me. But again, I've made relationships. Like anything else, you go there a few times, you get to be a little social, you make relationships. It's kind of cool. I was surprised. These teams, surprised and also like pleasantly surprised. These teams had the same jerseys, just obviously in different colors. You don't see that very often. And I think maybe it just hits differently because essentially this is a set of primary colors: blue, yellow, red, white. Well, white's not a primary. White is not a color. Is that correct? I should know this. Anyways, yeah. So I thought we ended up making the decision when I walked into this gym. Oh my gosh, it is still the first quarter. So what are you going to do? Like this game started late, and I was looking at going back to Prairie. So I said, let's just stay till halftime. Work hard, work fast, do not stop. I think let's take a look at our yep. We've deleted a few at this point in time, but at one point in time, I think I had about 600 photos from this game, or I left with about 600 photos from this game. It's not bad for, I mean, that's still kind of a high count for the amount of time that I was there. So it's important for me to be pretty picky about what I'm going to keep. Again, lighting's pretty good. Colors are good. Again, the blue and the white don't give a negative color contrast or no negative color cast. You know, red is that like everything else that would have been really good with with the drone. Um, again, they're almost done with their season. It sounds like they're down to three or four games in most cases. I think Iowa moves just a little faster than what we do. They do have shot clock. It usually never comes into effect. Um, I know everybody in Wisconsin. It's a hot button topic. You sit on one side or the other. I tend to sit on both sides of the argument, and that's okay. But essentially, I don't think we need it. I like having different tiers. If you go to the college realm, you get to play with these parameters. If you're at the high school realm, we play with these rules because not every rule should be employed at every level. That's how you delineate the levels, as far as I'm concerned. All right. Again, we did, I think, the best we could with this game. I'm going to flip to another game. Like I said, I just want to keep this thing moving along tonight. It is late. I've got other things to try to tackle. I just assume slow computer hasn't processed all of these, and I won't be able to get through them all, or I'll get to photos that, like we just saw, are out of focus and they'll bother me because I failed. Um, so yeah, let's flip. So let's keep going. So that was girls. So then we went to wrestling. Let's go to wrestling. So we'll just keep going in order of our evening. So I drove back to Prairie in a hustle, and I walked into the boys' basketball game. They were warming up, so then I walked to the other gym to see wrestling. And then I remembered, oh boy, spotlight. I think if you were to ask 9 out of 10 photographers will tell you the same thing. Spotlights for wrestling are a terrible idea. We can't see anything. Now, I will say this. In Prairie's case, they do it just a little differently because if you see here, in the ceiling, you can see that it's not a central spotlight. They are positioned in the corners, and I actually think there might be 6 lights. There might be 6 up in the rafters. I noticed this a few years ago. Um, I was down there for a duel that got rescheduled to New Year's Eve. Best New Year's Eve ever. Mineral Point wrestled at Prairie du Chien. Oh, it was fun. It was at COVID time, so nobody could go anywhere or do anything anyways, but it was a great duel, great duel. 2 teams that ended up at state, I think later that year, one a state champion, another, I think Prairie ended up as a state runner-up. Cool, but again, in their rafters, I think they have more than just a central spotlight, so the light feels more in the round. I tried to work with what I had and available, and I tried not to get too frustrated. I just said, "You know what? Take it for what it is. You're not here to get every single shot. You're here to do the best you can to show what this is, and there's a way to show this within the parameters you're working with and still make it cool." All right, I'm going to skip past some of that because I know I screwed up some things there. Um, Again, you're going to see as I go through these, we have some slow shutter. So you can see that I've got people moving. This thing is open wide. It's probably like a 1/10 of a second. So it looks like you can see everything, although there's probably a lot of motion blur in places. These kids wanted a photo, so I obliged. That's cool. Um, this was the last contested weight class. It was a pretty good match. It was a nice pin, but again, you can't see anything. As a photographer, face is facing the ground, edge of the mat right in front of me. I also fumbled around and screwed up a couple things in that sequence. Oh yeah, camera's real flipping around. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's. You know what? Do you guys mind? Can you indulge me, or I indulge? Can I indulge in this a little bit? 2501. Okay, so we're going to scroll to the bottom here. 2501. 25. There we go. I'm going to show you. It's it's not a secret. I'm just going to show you my process because I'm curious and I get excited about photos. And when you get excited about photos, you wanna touch them right away. So, um, again, I believe this is Jack Simmons after he won that last contested match. He's walking off the mat. So why did I shoot this? Again, you can't see everything. Everything in the background is black. There's a lot of black, a lot of light. In my head, I envisioned this photo black and white. I envisioned it with harsh, harsh, harsh contrast. So I'm gonna look at my portrait. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. I don't mind that either. Okay, so let's pick this portrait. Can I make this bigger? All right. So I'm just gonna dump this now. You're just watching me walk through a process. I have a preset already established. I used it. I exported this. It goes into my photos. Open new window. Perfect. Lightroom save photos. Perfect. This is what that end result is. You can, there are some light spots here. If I were to tweak this, I would go in and get rid of these and make this just black. I might keep some of the noise. Anyways, this is what my vision was. Oh my God, that headgear with the cracks in it. Oh, that's dirty. That's real nice. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to culling. I'm curious to see what some of these turned out like. We've have just some, as I was looking through the viewfinder, we're going to see this here. Because of our background being all black and the mat being mostly black, except for, you get this sliver of maroon through the middle. I played with it and treated it like a toy. This is, again, I'm thinking of it as I present photos to you guys. What would this look like in a 1 by 1 in a square? Or what would this look like in a post? If I'm going to post a group of photos, I don't want the same things. I want something different. And how does this set up when if I were to make this black and white, everything's going to be black except for just these highlights. Yeah, I think there's a lot to play with. Um, I'm curious to see how this turned out as well. I was doing some slow shutter because even around the team benches, it was really hard to see faces unless I really opened up my aperture and slowed down my shutter to let more light in. So that one's going to be a little tricky. I'm curious to see how that truly looks. Again, we got some cool stuff. And when I actually get a chance to go through and monkey with these, like I said, this laptop is still processing. So right now, it's going to take a little bit to get through more than just those. But we have some, I think we've got some real winners in here. And with the right manipulation, we'll have some stuff to share with you guys. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So from there, wrestling, I went back and forth from wrestling to boys basketball, all, I don't know, 100 paces from gym to gym. Let's see what's here. So I shot like 2 or 3 minutes of this Westby Prairie game to start with. And I believe that sequence there is right at the beginning. I came back and I watched the last 37 seconds of the first half and ended up knocking out just a couple of extra West. This being a pretty good sequence. Maddox Fensel driving the lane. I can't remember if he made the shot or just got fouled. As soon as it happened, there was a foul or something. There are 8 seconds left. There was a timeout or something, and I said, "Take off. You need to get to the other game." And ultimately, I just did not see this game, a lot of this game, and I have to be okay with that. Did I shoot it okay? I think so. There's some prairie stuff. That was my main goal. I've seen Westby, or we've seen Westby a couple times. Is this enough to make me feel good about seeing Prairie for the year? The answer is no. Hopefully, we have a chance to see them again. All right. And then jump back across the river, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 events. Ended up in Iowa. I think I got there at the midpoint of the first half. Again, in Iowa, the girls play quarters, the boys play halves. I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. Southwind was up a lot, 20 points. And I said, okay, well, giddy up. This game's pretty much over. But the good side is you have more than a half to play. So you're going to see starters because they're not going to sit them for 75% of a ball game. Southwind was good. They had some nice scores, nice players. Usually MFL Marmac has been a strong team. Maybe it was, I saw them miss a number of shots, but it wasn't because the shots were bad. It was just they bounced out. Sometimes that's how basketball goes. Here we go. I knew I was looking for a reachy, grabby ball photo. It's not really sharp. I'm going to have to toast that one. Again, going to Iowa is something that I've enjoyed over the past decade or so. It's, for me, it's informed a lot of my everyday sports life simply because things like Iowa's different than us in Wisconsin. We have the WIAA. They have 2 different associations, one for the boys, specifically for the boys, and one specifically for the girls. And those 2 groups don't necessarily work nicely together. How does that system work? How do you find stats and scores in Iowa? And for a number of years, it was tough. Now, well, for the past at least maybe 4 or 5 years, they've been unbound. So again, I've maybe talked about it before. When we switched or whatever, we've had just a struggling year in terms of what we're doing, stats and scores. I've been unbound for a number of years because that's where I can find all of my Iowa stuff. I believe they require it in Iowa. So looking for scores and stats, they're going to be there. We don't have that same system or that same mandate from our governing body, which is the WIA, which I do think is a problem. Having mandatory stats and scores someplace not just scores. I'm sorry, not just scores, stats and scores. I think is important. I mean, I put it this way: they want it. Ah, that is a decent dunk, but I'm behind it. So I'm putting those all in the trash bin because I can't see a face. Sorry, kids. If you like dunks, sorry, I messed up. Can't keep it. Yeah. So my thing is, if you're the WA, you should want all the stats, not just scores, but stats. You want it for all your state programs. Why bother coaches? We've lived in the internet age for a quarter of a century, and we still are expecting coaches to email all their information at the end of the season, only when they qualify or whatever for state, instead of just it's online. Now you go get it. It's already online. Copy paste, download whatever the format the system is. Anyways, Iowa gives me some different things to think about. They do some things differently. Their football is played in districts like we probably should be doing at this point in time. Summer baseball, summer softball. It looks like he's attacking the ref. That's funny. He's not. I think he ended up with almost 30 points. Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad I got to go over there. Again, I walked in and I think the lady at the door that I walked in knew who I was. She's like, "Oh, you're here tonight. Yeah, cool." Like I said, I love taking the opportunity to get over there. I had a few kids, even a couple of South Wind kids that said, that I think recognize some of the work I've put out with their stuff in it. I've crossed over with them a little bit more, somewhat deliberately in the last year or so. Um, Baseball being a big one, they're usually a pretty big baseball school. But with basketball, I've ended up seeing them the last couple of years in basketball for whatever reason. It just kind of mathematically or luckily works out that way, and that's cool. I like again, you build relationships by repeat visits. Anyways, pretty good night. 5 events, I'll take that. I did a head count today. I think we were at 70 something, maybe 70-ish events for the month, and I'm counting, team photo stops in that. So if it's a girls and a boys, even if it's the same day, 2 different events. Yeah, shoot, that was a nice sequence of shots. Um, Anyways, 70 events, and we still have a few days left. So can we get to 90? Maybe. I mean, if I had 5 today, I've got 3 tomorrow, which is a Wednesday. If I play my cards right on Thursday and Friday, I should be able to hit another 3, 3, 3, another 10. That's 10. You're, 90 is probably a little out of the realm of possibility, but more than 80 is not. So good. Yeah, this is fun. This was a fun night. It's a long night. Anytime I go down to Monona, it's a late night, long drive home. It comes with the territory. However, I also get to ride up and down the river. I followed a semi on the way home. It actually made my driving a little bit easier because I had something to kind of trail. It's kind of curious to know what the my halftime shows stuff looked like. They had their cheer, it was like their parents' nights, and then or their senior night, one or both. So then they made the parents do stuff with their dance team. So I get it. The moms and the kids are fine, but the funny part is when you see the dads do it, and some of them got into it, some of them didn't. Some of them look hilarious because they're not really into it, but they're there and they're giving an honest effort, and that makes it totally worth watching. Did my sign fall down? All right, well that happens. My tape wasn't very strong. Just trying not to give road free advertising. Um, all in all, like I said, I thought we had a pretty good night. 5 events is good. I think the way that we shot these events is good. Nothing super conceptual in terms of what I shot. I did some on the ground or, camera on the ground. I did some wide stuff. I just, didn't have a lot of time at any one stop. So I didn't have time to make creative stuff. I just kind of had to work with what was in front of me. and do the best that I could there. I did do pretty okay. I think wrestling is where I got the most creative, but I hate to admit it, the spotlight system did work. It gave me something different to look at or a different way to see that sport. Anyways, I'm gonna flip back to this. We're gonna close out this episode. I don't know how long. Oh my god, that was a half hour. Oof! Look at all the tiny little me's there. All right. So, like I said, that's what we did tonight. 5 events, 2 states, 2 different sports. Yep. Um, very rarely will I ever get like a basketball, hockey, wrestling, gymnastics. That to me is those are the big 4 in the wintertime. Hockey, gymnastics, wrestling, basketball. Yep. It is possible. I might have done it before. I like these little personal goals. Anyways, um, late night photo flips, right? Late night photo flips. Did you see anything that you liked? I deleted some of these photos. There are other ones that don't want to come up yet. That's okay. I'll see them in the morning. Anyways, we're going to end it there. Remember, tune in, stay connected with the GX3 Media podcast. Stay connected with the GX3 Media channel. There. Okay. Like, follow, share. We'll get the stuff online so that way you guys can see some more stuff. If you like the late night photo flips or early morning photo flips or, Sunday morning brunch photo flips, whatever, photo sharing. I think photo is always an F word. So I need Sunday morning French toast photo flips. There. I should probably make some French toast tomorrow. We do have the big toast at home. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. I'm going to hopefully get home yet tonight, hit the hay, and then get back after it early tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned. And again, if you had feedback, if you have comments, if you like what you saw, or if you're confused or have something that you want to know more about, let me know. We'll do our best to answer those questions. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you guys joining and following along. Late night photo flips. Woo! Thanks again. You guys have a good night. See you later. See you at the next game. Until then, enjoy sport. Woo!